it's your girl, Dr. Nina, and dating. One of the top questions that floods my inbox now is dating. Since I got engaged, a lot of people ask me what has been some of my dating story or some of the things I've learned over that time. And I think a lot of times we make dating seem like the devil. It's horrible. Now, while it has its downs, I'm not going to sit here and deny that. It has its ups as well. My mother loves to tell the story of my kindergarten year. Yes, my kindergarten year, where a little black boy and a little white boy fought over me the whole year. Honey, it's been hard out here for a pimp since kindergarten. Do you hear me? But I done turned in my player card. I sure did. But since then, I've had the ups and downs of dating. And you see me laughing, not because I'm engaged or on the other side. Look, life doesn't end just because. I feel like the stories that I have, the lessons that I learned have been so imperative in my life, across my life, right? The different people that I've dated, the people that I've come in contact with, the people it didn't work out with. And I think it's an amazing journey, and I think we have to take it as such. It is a journey. It ain't gonna be perfect. It ain't gonna be easy, but dating over 30 can be done. So today is all about my 30 ways to date over 30. Look, I did this because so many 30-somethings and even 20-somethings write me and ask me different things that they can do, different ways they can establish relationships and network. And I just have a few things that I think will work. And what I do as a psychologist and working with different people and seeing the different thought processes of people, this really put this on my heart today. So make sure that you comment. I want to hear from you. Let me know some of your dating, not so much horror stories, but dating down stories and dating up stories too. Some good ones as well. Some of the lessons you've learned to share with the community. And make sure while you're at it that you join my text community. All you got to do is text me. It's free of charge. Just let you know what I'm doing, what I'm up to, the master classes that I have, when I go live on Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of those different things. And we also have dating discussions and other things over there. I just like to send out little things. And make sure that you head over to drninaellishervey.com too and join my free 8-day supernatural video program, which teaches you things to help motivate you and help you on your journey. Y'all, all resources and all items I discussed today will be found down below in the description box. Let's get into this video. If you're enjoying the content, I would love to hear from you. So make sure you click like, comment, share, and subscribe. And that's how our community grows and flourishes. And many of you all are telling me you're not getting your notifications. YouTube is tripping. So do your good sis a favor. Go ahead and subscribe. Click the like button. Also turn on those notifications so that you know whenever I upload. So number one, y'all, know that dating isn't all about getting married. And I've made this mistake too. Like once you date and step on the dating scene and go out with that first person, it ain't always meant to work out. Think of it this way, and I had to put it in perspective for men and for women. Everybody in this world ain't for you. If you can't even be friends with everybody, how you gonna be a romantic partner? You can go on 100 dates and still not have the person that is aligned with you. And notice I didn't say perfect for you. So you can't expect that you're just going to magically have this date and all of a sudden this person's going to be the person you walk down the aisle with. Save yourself some headaches and sit back, relax, enjoy the process. When people say be in the moment, go on a date. Allow yourself to hear that person speak. Allow yourself to see how your body responds to that person and to what they say. Are they lying? Are they sitting there just selling you a dream? Are they a mess? Are they still involved with their last partner or current partner? You need to be able to hear these things. So being in the moment doesn't mean you don't care about where you're headed or that you don't have goals for marriage. It means that you understand and realize the reality that everybody out in these streets ain't for you. And that's okay too. Go on the date, have a nice time, evaluate and decide if it's worth going out again. And from there, you'll allow the time to blossom and to flow. And if you allow your mind to open up, you'll also know if you don't need to be hanging out with this person or dealing with them at any level, okay? But everybody is not meant to be your marriage material. The next two kind of go hand in hand. Be clear on what you want and be clear on what you don't want. What I mean by that is, I was very specific when it came to dating in the era of my fiance. Before that, I had a general idea. You know, I knew that I had dated some people that had matched me professionally, maybe personality wise, maybe pockets wise, maybe some other ways as well. However, what I realized too is in trying to check all of those technical boxes, I was missing the innermost parts. Like, are they God-fearing? Do they really enjoy a lot of the things that I do? Or do they even have something that they enjoy? You know, I had to really go back to square one and describe the things that were most important to me. I continue to tell you all there were 11 key things and factors that I knew I could not live without. That if these people did not have that, they were deal breakers. And they weren't super harsh. They weren't horrible, and maybe you all will hear those things eventually as I plan to divulge those in my wedding vows. So knowing what you want makes you stronger and more confident in your decision making, and also in what you'll go for and what you won't. And knowing what you don't want also puts you at an advantage, so that when those things come up, either you can discuss them or decide if they're just not sitting well with you and that you need to move forward and you don't waste time. When you're dating, you need to be decisive. You can't just be with people just to be with them. You shouldn't just be with people just to be with them. If they don't possess what it is that you've said you want that's within reason for your life, then move on. But knowing what you want and what you don't want is key in dating. The next thing is to learn your money language and be okay with it. And y'all know this, a lot of y'all pay attention to the communities out there that talk about a lot of things that have to do with hypergamy and a lot of other things. And I'm not just talking that. I'm talking about comfortable living. Living the way that you already live and being able to maintain and take that up a notch, right? And even further, several notches. I was real about my money needs, right? And this is where it gets real serious for me. You have to be honest about the life that you want to live and the life that you've already lived. I had to get real with myself and say, look, I'm not willing to take my life down a notch for anybody. So that means they need to be where I'm at or better. And I put emphasis on that without even being condescending or mean. I know that I deserve to live a certain life. I've given myself a certain life. My mother on her own gave me a certain life. My quality of life is good. I'm not willing to take that quality down. So knowing your money language, knowing what you need, knowing what you want, knowing what you desire, what you see for your life, the types of things you foresee in terms of where you want to live, what you want to do you want to shop, how many kids you want to have, that takes resources. And you have to be realistic with yourself, with your partner, with your current stance on your own, your current stance with them. Is that taking you down? Is that taking you backwards? Or is it propelling you forward? And I prefer to be propelled forward. And so getting real with your money language, if you're bougie and people call you bougie, so what? I had fought that my whole life, but I realized with my fiance, that is just fine. I'm bougie. I'm good with that. As long as I know what I want and how I want that and the type of life that I want to live, I'm very clear, and my partner can be clear as well. And I suggest that you get real about that early and know your financial stance, what you want and what you will not go for. Let the past float away, y'all. And what I mean by this is very simple. A lot of times we take a lot of our old habits, our old issues, our old hangups, our old problems into new relationships, and you can't do that. These exes and all of these people, they're exes for a reason. I believe that it's hard to propel forward by having relationships with exes, no matter how platonic. Now, if you have children, things like that, you share something that you have to speak on, that's fine. But even then, chummy, long conversations, walks in the park, that's not necessary anymore. If you're looking to move forward, you have to let go of the past. And that means even letting go of the hangups, the hurts, the pains, the difficulties, while you will never forget them, while they might help you to make better decisions, They should not control your actions with someone who's not your ex and someone who is not involved in your life in that way anymore. The next thing is to be open and vulnerable with the right people. See, a lot of times we open ourselves up to everybody, but in dating, let me tell you something. Everybody should not be opening. You shouldn't be open to all of them. So be very careful about all the people that you open up your life to, the people that you allow in your deepest, darkest secrets, the people that you tell things to, even in dating. Be careful what you tell people, even when you think you can trust them. Be careful. You'll know that moment. If you actually listen to yourself, if you actually listen to the other person, you'll know when it's proper to share. And also, you'll know by how they share with you. Be careful about what you speak into or allow people to speak into you, what you're open to, what you open your home to, what you open your legs to, okay? All of those things should be considered because those are vulnerability. And remember, your vulnerability should only go to those who deserve it, who cherish it, who will take care of it, and who will care for you properly and protect you. People must earn that space from you and earn that right from you. The next one is simple. Know all about your negative thinking. In today's society, with the internets, I'm not going to even lie. And I did put an S on it in the internets. It's very hard not to get caught up in all the negatives, to hear that you're not good enough, to hear that people who are like you, who walk the walk you do, who look like you, who do not deserve love, do not deserve whatever. However, I wouldn't be here today with the things that I have gotten by listening to what everybody got to say. I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but we literally allow the courses of our lives to be changed by people who don't even know us personally, who don't know our situation, they don't know our stance, they don't know favor, because favor ain't fair, and honey, many of us are more favored than we would like to believe. So you cannot allow yourself to be totally taken down by the negativity. Make sure that you are aware of your own negative thoughts. Write those things down. Analyze them. Know why they are what they are. Is it because you had parents whose marriage didn't last, or someone close to you is very negative about the idea of relationships? Analyze your own thought process so you don't allow other people's negative thoughts to become your own when they don't exist for you. Make sure that you're also speaking to yourself from your own stance. You are not everybody. All of us are different. And while there is a collective, a lot of times there are outliers and there are people who are a bit different or going with a different grain from the rest. Doesn't mean you're better than. It just means maybe you listen better, you take advice better, and you learn better. So make sure that you take heed to that and take yourself seriously with those negative thoughts so that you can move past those in order to get to where you want to go in dating. Y'all, the next thing is to learn to work on ways to heal your wounds. And a lot of times getting those skills come through things like coaching and therapy, counseling, all of those various different things, because you become more self-aware. And you can also find ways to be more dependent on your own decision making, even when you've been hurt. And that's why I'm happy today's video is being brought to you by Cerebral. Y'all know that I love Cerebral. Cerebral is a mental health subscription that provides clients with ongoing, comprehensive access to online care and medication management for anxiety, depression, and insomnia for one flat monthly rate. It takes a comprehensive approach to mental health care by providing clients with both therapeutic techniques and medication management, which has been shown to bring the best benefit over time. They also operate in a telemedicine model, so you can schedule your visits with your provider, therapist, or your care counselor when it's most convenient for you. Therapy with Cerebral costs 3 times less than traditional therapy services. Rather than $500 to see a psychiatrist and $100 more per therapy session afterward, Cerebral offers a consistent flat monthly rate at a more affordable price. Some plan options and instant live visits are only available in certain locations and states. You start by filling out their easy online questionnaire. From there, you can decide to subscribe to one of 3 different subscription plans. And this is based on your needs and/or your budget. Subscription options may include a combination of care counseling, therapy, and prescription medication. Plans include video or phone visits with your provider, prescribed medications delivered monthly with free shipping, and monthly virtual calls and unlimited online messaging. with a care counselor or online therapist. Connecting for me was so easy, y'all. And because I know about this and have a background in it, I was really watching for certain things, and I enjoyed the way that they handled me, spoke with me, how quick they were to respond, and how their services were set up. And the providers are so good at what they do. They make me feel comfortable, they're kind, and they're easy to talk to as well. If you'd like to take the next step in working on your mental health, click the link in the description box to start the questionnaire and get connected with a provider right away. Your first month starts at only $30. Y'all, the next thing is to stop with the rescue puppies. Look, a lot of us love to love. We love to love people to life. We love to care for them. We love to lick their wounds before we lick our own, okay? So one thing that I had to learn was I cannot rescue everybody. I can't take care of everybody. And I don't want to start a relationship where I can't even focus on developing a relationship. I'm focused more on saving the person. I'm not Captain Save-A-Ho. Okay, and neither are you. So when you're starting a relationship, be very careful about what you're allowing yourself to take care of, and who you're rescuing, and who you're cleaning up and dusting off, and all of these things. This should be a time of getting acquainted, getting to know one another, minus a lot of the ridiculousness that happens in life. Realizing that if you do enter a relationship with this person, some of the negative things and some of the things that hold us down will happen, but you will also have grown to a level of respect and a level of care and a level in your relationship where that will be appropriate. It's not appropriate on the front end. So stop picking up puppies off the side of the road. It's time out for that. The next thing is to know the trends in your dating life. Look, have the last 3 relationships ended the same way? I mean, are you having all out blowouts and brawls outside on the parking lot? Are you literally calling people and, you know, having to text them over and over and begging for them to stay? Or are you being ghosted every time? What part have you played in this situation? Now, I'm not victim shaming or blaming. I am saying we must take stock of our actions in situations, not take the blame off of other people or what they've done, but to be very clear on our role in certain situations. You cannot move forward without knowing what happened in order to keep you from moving forward in the past, right? If you take that same stuff into the next relationship, you'll see the same trends occurring over and over and over again. And guess what? It's not the same people that you're dating. These are new people. So if the same thing is happening, you might need to review your own behaviors, your own practices, your own beliefs, your own thoughts, and the people you're allowing in your dating space. Don't be too eager to rush, okay? A lot of times in this world, a lot of us feel the need to push this whole relationship, get married, have a baby, or different orders to that, right? Don't find yourself regretting or having buyer's remorse, right? You want to make sure that you take your time. I know you may be of age in your 30s. A lot of times that push and that rush comes from other people telling you what you should have had, what you should have, could have, would have done. I had to kind of stay away from that for a while, because I had a lot of people that were like, yeah, you done all of this, but you're not married and you don't have no kids. I had to think about, what did I want? It wasn't about what they wanted and what they had done with their lives, because some of those very people were miserable in their relationships. Some of them didn't even like their kids. I'm gonna just be honest. You know, so it's not that I didn't know that I didn't want that in the future, but I wasn't quite ready. I was still focusing on me. And whether or not it took forever or it never happened, I knew that I could accept that. I could accept that if I were to die at that time, I still would die happy, knowing that I had invested in myself and done the things necessary. But all this rushing for heartache and pain, we ain't got time for that. No. The next thing is to not ignore the qualities that could sustain a relationship. You know, I think when we're young, we look at qualities like they cute. I like the way they voice sound on the phone, or I like the way they dance. I was ignoring things like, does this person know how to problem solve? Okay. Is this person dependable? Do they do what they say they're going to do? Because guaranteed that as you progress in a relationship, those things become more important than, are they cute? And do they drive a nice car? And can they dance? So think now about the qualities that a person is bringing to you. They might not have 100% of the cuteness that you thought they should have, or the wonderful car that you think they should drive, or the clothing you think they should wear. Or they might not sound that cute on the phone. But are they good people at heart? Are they going to be there when the going gets tough? Are they going to be able to problem solve? Do they have a stable job and income? Okay. These are things that we must consider in order for us to be happy in the long run, not just for right now. The next thing is almost like the puppies, but stop dating for potential. In your 30s, you don't have time for that. In your 20s, none of us all had it together. Even for me, I was early on in my career. I was pretty established pretty early, and even I still didn't have a quite great grasp on who I was and what I wanted all the time. So with that said, in your 20s, it was a little bit cooler to not know where you were going or what you might do tomorrow. But in your 30s, we need to be a little bit more grounded, right? So you no longer have to rescue people. You no longer have to be responsible for trying to just see potential in what they could be. What are they? Because when you hit your 30s, you might not have it all together. That's okay too. But you should have some stability. You should have some things that are pretty steadfast, pretty much routine. You should be having, a job, stable income, things that sustain you. You should have a spiritual backing. You should have some kind of ideology for your life, right? You shouldn't just be out here flying by the seat of your pants like we were in our 20s. So be very careful about just seeing the potential of what they could be. Actually take account for what they are and what they're doing right now. The next thing is to keep yourself right and tight. Okay. Yeah. Mama be in the gym. I love it. We don't play around. The reason being is not for the dating pool, but let's be honest. The better you feel, the better you're going to feel in the dating pool. The better you feel, the better you look. The better you're going to look to other people. You get more prospects. And even if all those people don't work out, you still have different options that you can look at, different people that expose you to different ways of life. They might get you in a door with where your husband or wife is. Okay. So you should stay right and tight for you. So you feel good and confident. So when you go on these dates and you're dealing with people, you're not feeling like this the last dance and the last chance that you have. In your heart of hearts that you can move forward. And because I can tell you, I met them and dismissed them in my 20s, and I did the same thing in my 30s. I didn't play that game. If I was thinking that, this wasn't going to work out, I was just going to stick around for that. But at the same time, usually I snapped out of that and moved on because of my confidence. And that was because I was investing in myself, my body, my skin, how I looked, what I was doing. And I also always knew that I was attractive to myself, which made me more attractive to the greater public. And that is just fine. But notice how I said myself first. So keeping myself right and tight for me. And right and tight can be your own definition. Doesn't mean you have to be skinny or a supermodel. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying taking care of yourself, going to the gym, working out, taking care of your skin, taking care of your body, getting your self-care in, doing the things that are necessary for you to feel and look your best. Next, don't put people on a pedestal. Just like you shouldn't just be looking for potential, you shouldn't just be looking to, deify people. You shouldn't be making them your God. They shouldn't be taking precedence over the things you already have going for your life. Remember, you have a life before them and you will have a life after them. Y'all, it's time out for looking for signs that are not there. Okay? Some of us dig so deep into signs and we thinking about it and we dissecting. We go on the first date and we like, ooh, he said marriage. That means he wants to marry me. Or, he talked about wanting to be making sure that his credit score is good. That means that he's really working on that and he's going to make sure we can buy a good house together. Or she is, just really into her looks and the things that she's doing. So she's going to always take good care of herself. Y'all quit dissecting stuff and just look at what's there. Okay. There's no signs that can really tell you anything but time. And I had to learn that in dating too. Like I would hear things and be like, oh, and while there were people that were excited about me, even they didn't necessarily always have what it took to maintain a relationship with me or to sustain a relationship with me. So I had to watch less of what a person said and look at their actions and what they do and how they take action in their own lives, how realistic they were in their expectations of me and of themselves, in order to take stock of where we were and to make decisions from that. Next, don't rely solely on meeting people on the streets or on dating apps. Now, I see this debate all the time. Don't ever meet nobody on a dating app. Don't ever meet nobody, here or there or otherwhere. Don't ever meet a person at the bar. Don't ever meet a person at church. Here's the thing. I have opened my mind, right? I've met, and when you're a well-traveled, well-socialized person, you'll realize that there are good and bad people everywhere. On the internet, at the bar, at church. I have met bad people and good people, and I hate to say bad people, but less than great people everywhere. It didn't matter where they were. It was up to me too, though, to build the discernment when it came to meeting them. For me, online worked well because I ain't out in these streets all the time. Yeah, I get out, but I'm not out all the time. I'm a busy woman. I got a lot going on. I own a business. I got, my life as a psychologist, a clinic director, a professor. I got friendships. I got family. And yeah, I made time to go out, but that didn't guarantee that I was bumping into all the people that I would like to. And even in the professional circles, I dated people there and I dated people outside of those professional circles. They didn't always work out either. So I think that you just maximize on your potential and have your pickers ready, right? Make sure that you're keeping the same criteria on the line and off the line, okay? Make sure that you're being careful about what you want and stick with your same guns everywhere you go. It doesn't mean that just because you met somebody in person, they're going to be better than someone you meet online. The person on the street can hide stuff just like the person online. So I just tell people to be careful about demonizing any way of meeting people. You just got to be careful about it. The next thing is that divorcees may not be the worst thing in the world. I had to learn this as I entered into the 30s world. It was interesting to me. It's like one day I woke up and most of the people that I was going on dates with or that were trying to holla or whatever, they had been married before. And this was interesting for me because I was like, oh, I don't want a divorced person. And then some of my friends got divorced. And it opened my heart. First off, of course, you empathize with people that you love. But I realized they were great people. But bad things happen sometimes, or relationships don't last all the time. And it doesn't mean that they were a horrible person because they were divorced. It meant that perhaps there were some things that were unresolved, things that didn't work out. And now they were on to newer opportunities. And so I didn't demonize even being divorced. Now, if I got with somebody or dated somebody and I realized they were carrying on a lot of the same mess that had happened in their previous marriage, then I wasn't going to keep carrying on with them because they hadn't healed and they hadn't dealt. But when, people could easily tell their story and they could tell where they were wrong, where the situation went badly and how they're improving, okay, we good. And I think that we can't be so harsh on those that have been divorced. A lot of times they understand too, the clear cut responsibilities of marriage, and even if they do have a child from that marriage, they might even understand that responsibility closely. So it's certain things and certain qualities that even come with a previously married person. And a person that I know very closely, a mentor of mine, has been married a long time, 30 plus years, to the love of her life, who, had been married and had 3 children already. They were also very well off, took good care of themselves, took good care of their children. They were career driven, and also very family driven and oriented. And it worked out. It worked out well. And they went on to have their own children together as well and had a nice big family. So it works out for some people, but you got to be willing to see what's going on with that situation, but also don't demonize it for what it is. The next thing is to adjust your age range. Now, I had an age range for me, and that range was like within 5 or 6 years. Meaning I would go, maybe 3 to 4 below me. I should say maybe 4. I was okay to do that. And I dated younger guys and I dated slightly older. I had dated much older too. And that just wasn't for me. You know, it wasn't for me in those situations. Not saying that I couldn't have if I dated more with people that were of a certain age or people that were younger in age. But I found that the sweet spot for me was within like the 2-year range. And that was good for me because we had a lot in common. There were things that we enjoyed that were very similar. We had the same music taste, could remember some of the same social things that had happened in the world at that time. So it really is up to you to think about it, but adjust your age range. At least allow for some error. Some people are like, I want them to be the same age as me. I want them to be 1 year older than me. Have a range and, you know, fit within that range. A lot of online dating places and even places where you meet people will have similar ages or ages within a certain range. And some might be outliers, but allow yourself to be open to that and at least try, you know, maybe try. Not when I dated a person that was much older, you know, they still had a lot of hangups. And I realized with their age didn't come a lot of maturity. And even though they had money and other things, they still weren't on track to being what I would think would be the husband for me. So these are the types of things you have to consider, but adjust that age range so that you can see a little bit different flavors on the spectrum. You also have to pay attention to red flags early on. This one is self-explanatory. If something is glaring loudly at you and telling you danger, danger, you know, it's probably your intuition and you probably should listen to it. One thing that I think we fail at as people is that we forget that what we feel in our guts a lot of times is true. One thing that I would do when I was dating, I told y'all I'm not highly religious, but I am spiritual. But my life started off Church of God in Christ, and I still believe highly in my God. So here's the thing. I pray about things. I say, Lord, if it's not for me, remove it from my life. My prayer is simple. If it's a person, place, or thing that should not be in my life, please make it very clear and remove it from me. Allow me to hear you. Allow me to hear the words. Allow me to hear the direction and the goal. And just that would happen. Like stuff would happen that was ridiculous. Like things could be going amazingly well. And then all of a sudden, bumpy, rocky, ridiculous. And I would literally see certain things that would open my eyes that if I were to stay, I knew I was signing up for a lot of mess. And even when I did sign up to stay on longer, a lot of times those situations were ripped away from me in very uncomfortable ways. So a lot of times it behooves us to be very careful and think carefully about the people we're surrounding ourselves with and those red flags that come up. If you have standards, if you have boundaries, and those are really, sent to the winds, or that person does not respect those boundaries or is a habitual line stepper, move back and allow it to them to move forward and for you to move on. The next thing is to sharpen those communication skills. Okay. You know, one thing that I like to do is making sure that I communicate effectively. And you can practice this with family, with friends, with other people. It doesn't have to be just with people that you date. But even in dating relationships, I would use those opportunities to be honest with people, to, speak my mind in a very appropriate manner. Also making sure that I wasn't telling all my business or divulging too much, or just practicing common communication in ways that, really made me more appealing. Also made it easier for me to communicate. When I didn't like something, I found ways to say that to people. Like, I didn't like when X, Y, and Z occurred, and I'm not going to be around if that continues to occur. So I want to be clear in this and make sure that you hear me. And people respected that. And they also respected me being honest about dating other people, about, being honest about certain things that I would do. Like, even if I was going on another date with someone, if someone asked me, hey, are you going to be busy Friday night? Yeah, I'm going to be busy. I wouldn't volunteer the information, but if they said, well, oh, what you have to do? Well, I'm going to be out with a friend and I'm going to be, doing some other things. And they would say, oh, you going on a date? Well, yes, I am. I just learned ways to communicate comfortably with people without getting scared or afraid of telling them the truth, because I realize even good people get afraid to tell the truth. So just watch your communication skills and make sure that you're communicating efficiently and effectively with people. Next, you want to make sure that you're recognizing when people are emotionally unavailable to you. And basically, a lot of times what ends up happening is we have a lot of people in our lives who they just don't have the emotional bandwidth. They don't have it for anybody. And the way to know that people are emotionally unavailable is they can't discuss emotional things. Anytime you get into a conversation with them, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to discuss it. Even if y'all are talking about old relationships that you had, I think it's important to, at an appropriate time, ask about that. And if they, in those situations where I mentioned going out with people who have been divorced or things like that, and, being able to ask, so why did it end? Oh, well, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to deal with that. Well, it's not about it not being the person's business. I'm not asking you every little rough detail, but you should be able to speak from the place of emotion, at least to talk about, yeah, it just didn't work out. We were not compatible or blah, 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 whatever it was. And I find that a lot of times people show you early that they're not going to be emotionally available to you. So if you can't even talk about something that's ended or something that, even lightly crosses over into light spaces of emotionality and you shut down, then what are you going to do when we have a hard time? Are we going to be able to discuss it? Are we going to be able to work things out? You have to be very careful. And sometimes these people are still caught up on old relationships and exes. And that's important too. And that's why I like to have conversations about that and be open about my own stuff so that I'm able to discuss these things and figure out if the emotional availability is there, because I've been emotionally unavailable to someone before too, and it hurt them very badly. So I know what that's like, and I know what it's like to be hurt by someone that's emotionally unavailable. The next thing is to do you in every way. Look, I was very careful when I was dating to watch how people responded to my level of busy. Look, when I get with somebody or when I got with somebody in the past, oftentimes there was this level for some people of wanting to compete for who was the busiest. And I wasn't there for that. I'm a naturally busy girl. If we don't fill our time with things and I have time to do other things, that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes I would date people and they would be like, oh, you always going on. Oh, you always got this to do. Well, I'm not always with you. I have a life outside of you. And you got to see that as a red flag. Okay. Don't lose you in a dating relationship. Don't lose you in a casual dating situation either. Be very careful about that. When people are trying to put constraints on you and things about you that are you, the fact that you laugh freely, the fact that you're silly, the fact that you have certain personality quirks, and they're trying to change that early on, there's something weird about that. And I've noticed that there was a balance or imbalance sometimes for people of maybe liking the way I looked, but not liking that I'm kind of a jokester. I'm kind of silly. I'm kind of funny. I was the class clown. Maybe they didn't like that. Or maybe they wanted me to be sexy all the time. Maybe they wanted me, I'm going to say that again because I think I hit the mic. Maybe they wanted me to be sexy all the time or, more demure all the time. That's just not me. And so I can do that. There's many dimensions, honey, but I'm not going to do that just to be what somebody thinks I should be that's known me less than 3 months. So be careful who you're changing for and do you. Be you. The next thing is to not settle, but don't be all perfectionistic. Okay. So there's a balance between this. I think there's always these talks about settling for people. I feel that there's a realistic quote unquote settling, meaning that, you find someone that meets 80% of what you want, your standards. They respect your boundaries. They are financially stable. They're attractive to you. You enjoy being around them. And while they might have some personality quirks, you can handle them and you can deal with them. I think being careful and being knowledgeable about that is important. And so it's not settling in a negative sense when you don't get everything you want. And when you start to get into this place where you're like, I need to have everything and they need to check every box. If they're not crossing lines or harmful to you, or, not doing things on your absolute will not put up with list, then they're probably good for you. Y'all mostly get along. Y'all mostly like a lot of the same things. You vibe well together. And then you want to say that they should be perfect. No one's going to be perfect. So settling is not a negative thing. And somehow it's gotten a very negative rep. Settling is just meaning settling into a relationship and realizing that while you might not get everything from anyone, for the most part, there's someone that's most appropriate and best for you. And you should continue to look for those things that meet your standards and that also check the realistic boxes that you might have that are upfront and forthcoming. I don't think that you should bend for things. Like, for instance, I'm going to be honest. I talked about the lifestyle thing. Let's say you said you want to be with someone that makes at least 100,000 because you're there or close, and there's a certain level or standard of lifestyle that you want to have. But you meet a person that's making 25,000 and they're a nice person. Now, I'm not saying they're not a nice person, but in the future, that could become a problem. And that's being realistic with yourself. And I think that that in itself is where the negative settling thought process comes in. And sometimes people run into trouble, but how much trouble are you willing to put up with? If they've been a repeat felon, are you going to continue to deal with them? Or, they got in trouble when they were 18 and, now they're good and everything has been all right. And they're on a good track and they're living a good, great and prosperous life. That's a different thing. You're not going to really hold it to them. So I think you have to be careful about what you want. And it goes back to what you want and what you don't want, and not settling below those standards. And when you're not doing that, then you're not settling in the negative sense. But you can't be perfect either, because you ain't perfect. And last but certainly not least, that timeline you got, throw it in the trash. Throw it all the way away. We a lot of times get in our head that by a certain age, we need to have this. By a certain age, we need to have that. We need to have the husband. We need to have the kid. We need to have the house. We need to have the car. We need to have whatever it is. But having that timeline can sometimes mess you all the way up. And what I mean is, sometimes if you don't reach that milestone, you become so hopeless that you believe you will never get anything. You'll start to become desperate. And when desperation sets in, that's when you find yourself settling in the negative sense and getting with anybody and anything just because it says it cares for you or thinks about you or likes you. And that's not what you want. That is really going against the actual thought of what might be important for you and for your life. So in essence, the best thing that you can do is have a general idea of what you want and be able to judge the people that you end up going out with. And when I say judge, I mean listen to them and take heed to what they're saying and what they want to see if that aligns with what you want. And see how that goes. If it is with what you want, the joy in it is seeing how it progresses and how things work out without putting too much pressure on it. So I hope today's video has been good for you guys. Make sure you're not losing hope, in this dating in your 30s type of thing. It is okay. I feel like dating in my 20s was way more treacherous than dating in my 30s. I had a better time in my 30s. I was more adjusted. I knew more of what I wanted. And I was also more aware of myself. So take those thoughts to mind and meditate on it. And in the meantime, make sure that you comment, share this video with someone who can use it, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Beautiful brown baby doll. Just so you know, I did it. I finished the mentorship membership for you guys, and it's now live. Check the links down below to learn more about it, but it is full of courses, expert information, webinars, master classes, and everything with yours truly. So I'm so excited about this. This is my project, my baby, and I would love to share it with you. So make sure you check it out and join today. Check the links in the description for my free new Dr. Nina's Mentorship Facebook group, which is a group of like-minded individuals looking to progress, grow, and support one another along the way. The Now That's Life podcast is about to go into season 2, so I suggest you go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on all your major podcasting platforms. All descriptions and links for that and my free supernatural video course are found below. Thanks so much for all the love and support over on my new website. If you haven't already, go ahead and check it out and join me for new ways to interact with me, giveaways and prizes, weekly emails, as well as my free 8-day supernatural video course, which is free when you sign up.